What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. It's the final. I'm going to go into it. Come on, it's final countdown because we've got an hour left. We've got now. I was expecting a better reaction, to be honest, guys.
Than it's the dad joke.
It's a dad joke. It's not a dad joke. It's just good singing. It's good singing is what it is. You know, I want to bring some energy into this stream because we've got an hour left of the transfer window. The deadline is at 11 p.m. There is some rules as to why we may not get an announcement regarding Marcel Sabitzer in the next hour. I was just listening to Sky Sports about 5 or so minutes ago, and they were essentially saying that you can file paperwork now in the next 2 hours that can give you an extra couple of hours, essentially. You can get it till 1 o'clock for the deal to get done. However, they were also saying that there is this FIFA rule or this FIFA database that has to be logged into or something like that. That has to be done by midnight. So the deal kind of has to be done by midnight anyway. But we'll be here for the next hour. We'll be here waiting for an announcement, waiting for any more news, just having a general chit chat about the transfer window as well as these other deals get announced and get done. Enzo Fernandez to Chelsea. Here we go in the last couple of minutes. I'll start off with you, Mina. Sabitzer to United. Where did that come from today? What are your thoughts?
You know what? He's never a player that crossed my mind. Like, even in the summer, he's not someone I really thought would have been an option for us. But then when I saw the links this morning, I was like, yeah, it kind of makes sense. I've watched him occasionally. I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, I've watched him all the time. But I've done research about him and the kind of player that we're kind of getting. And what it seems that we're getting is a good replacement to Eriksen. Obviously, he's been unlucky with that injury again. Andy Carroll, waste man. I have to state that again. But we could have gone into the market today, from what I've heard and what I've been told and what I've been seeing, that we were going around to a lot of clubs. But yeah. Sabitzer was the main choice, and all these other options were just alternatives if it fell through. I saw links to Isco, Hussein Aouar. It would not be a transfer deadline day if Hussein Aouar is not linked to a Premier League club.
Is this a regular occurrence? Is that a regular occurrence?
Honestly, it's a regular occurrence. Just in the summer, he was meant to be joining Nottingham Forest for 25 million, and then he chose not to because he said he wanted to go to a bigger club. But in terms of Sabitzer and the kind of player that we're getting, I do think we're gonna get a good. One thing it seems is like if Ten Hag doesn't get his man, like he has to get his man, and I do feel like Sabitzer is a Ten Hag player. It's not someone that the board have gone out to seek. He's, from the videos that I've watched, the reports that I've read about him, in-depth analysis that I've read about him, it seems like he's going to be a perfect partner to Casemiro, similar to what Eriksen is. He's two-footed. He can play possession football where he can make line-breaking passes. He can progress the ball forward. He can be a partner to someone who's playing in that lone six role, which I assume would be Casemiro, or he can play in a double pivot. He himself can actually play in a lone six role if necessary. So I do think we're getting a multitude of positions, and he's got a foot on him when it comes to striking it from distance, which we've seen before in the past. I thought it was going to be a quiet deadline day, and I did say yes. I think
you and me both, Mina.
You and me both. Yesterday on stream, I did say if we were to get someone, I don't think it would be an outright purchase. I do think it would be a loan, and something like this. It just makes sense.
DJ, you're here. Lots of people are saying DJ's here with his 20%. Chris Katsu says DJ set the whole thing up to prove his point. 20%, gang. Look, I am a man of my word. I apologize. DJ. I apologize. When you said 20% this morning, openly, I laughed at you. Not even like I mocked you. I laughed at you this morning. And I'm here to say that I'm sorry. I'm here to say that I'm wrong. I'm not too big to hold my hands up. 20%. How are you feeling? How are you feeling now? You feel vindicated?
I feel very vindicated, you know, and I've got a message for one of our family members here at UV, and he goes by the name of KG. KG, you tried to slander me outside Carrington. I took that personally. And now look, 20% gang, we're here, Sabitzer, and just like Mina, you know, I can't profess to have watched a lot of him. I've seen him a few times. And I went back today and I did some research on him, and my conclusions are exactly the same as Muniz, to be fair. Like, we're getting a very good player. We're getting a good player, to be fair. And you can tell it is a Ten Hag signing. Definitely a Ten Hag signing. Like, he's not the traditional Manchester United type of signing you would get. I think the United signing would have been someone like an Isco or something along that line. But Sabitzer, he's a steady Eddie. Do you know what I mean? Like, very good.
Be careful. Be careful saying that phrase.
When I say steady Eddie, he's
very bad. He's a balanced audience. Player. You've just won over the audience, and now you're going to get clipped. I'm going to remember this.
Wait, rewind. Let's rewind. So, Sabitzer, he ticks a lot of boxes. He's quite all-round. He's quite balanced. He's quite a balanced player. He's very all-round. Defensively attacking, can play in a number of positions in the midfield, whether it's attacking midfield, centre midfield. And as Mina said, he can play as the lone six if he's required to. He's even had some time on the wing, apparently, as well. So he is a player that can play a lot of different positions. But I think what we're looking for is his ball progression through the final thirds. He is good at that. He is quite press resistant. I'd say slightly even more press resistant than Eriksen is. He's more mobile than Eriksen, a bit more physical than Eriksen. And he does have a cracking right foot. He scores a lot of goals from long range, and especially against the low block teams, that's something that we can utilize as well. So I'm really happy with the signing. I know it's a loan. It's just going to get us over the line, hopefully, to the end of the season. But I think with Ten Hag, it's about the profile. He is the right type of profile. Slightly different to Eriksen. Slightly different. I did say, in my opinion, I believe he is a slight upgrade to Eriksen in a sense of he ticks a few more boxes for us all round. There's not much in it, but all round he does tick a few more boxes for me. But I'm happy.
Is he an upgrade, Mina? I saw you nodding.
I'm not too sure. Just simply because, you know, one thing that I don't like yet is today I was watching. I'm not going to say what sports outlet I was watching, just to not, impact any relationships. But I was watching a sports outlet this morning.
Yeah, and, I did earlier on. Don't worry. I threw Sky Sports well under the bus earlier on. I went mental.
And there was someone on there that was saying that Sabitzer is someone that can't get into his club's starting lineup, and that's relatively true. But it's not that he has not played. I think he's played in 8 or 9. He started 8 or 9 Bundesliga games, and the rest he's been substitutes. He's played around in total 1,000 minutes this season, which isn't much when you think about they've played about 25 or 24, including Champions League. But I do think he offers us something different to Eriksen. The only struggle is that Eriksen didn't need to adapt to the Premier League because he's played in the Premier League before. It's not unknown to him. I anticipate something similar with Casemiro in terms of Fred will be starting probably alongside Casemiro for the first 1 or 2 games. And when Sabitzer comes in, I don't think he's going to go straight into the lineup like Weghorst did or Anthony did. I do think he will get eased in, but I think he will definitely. I think one thing that we'll see is more comfortability in terms of Casemiro and Sabitzer alternating between who goes forward. Sometimes when Casemiro would be, progressing the ball forward, dribbling forward, and Eriksen would slot into that lone role, you'd see us collapse a bit in that defensive structure. I don't think that will happen much. I think if Casemiro is progressing with the ball and he's moving forward with Bruno and everyone else, and Sabitzer drops into that lone 6 role, I think there'll be some comfortability in that cover that he's providing. I think defensively, he definitely offers a lot more than Eriksen. But like I said, Eriksen is proven, and he's just unlucky to get injured at this time of the season.
I mean, you won't say it, I will. Paul Merson, it was a disgrace what you said, okay? Because it was nonsense. What he was said, first of all, he was trying to sort of say like, oh, yeah, he's not playing a lot of games for Bayern Munich, so that says a lot about him. Well, yeah, otherwise we wouldn't be able to get him on loan in January. How else would we get him on loan? If he was playing every single week for Bayern Munich, he would be available. 2, there have been plenty of players that have struggled to get in the teams that they were at and have come to the Premier League and done well. One of them plays for his club, Martin Odegaard. He couldn't get anywhere near the Real Madrid side. He went there. I'm not saying Sabitzer's going to be Odegaard, by the way, but I think that was a January loan as well, actually, thinking about it.
Yeah, they brought him.
Yeah, and they brought him back. So, and I don't even think they had an option. They loaned him, and then they had to negotiate that afterwards. Parallels, interesting. But again, the point aside, that I think as far as a replacement January deadline day loan, I'm not sure you can ask for much more than what we got today, especially when you consider it's Man United as well, who historically we're just not quick and we don't do deals, especially when, you know, injuries happen. I was expecting us just to be like, well, tough luck, not going to get anyone.
I was expecting us to call up some random African player playing in Saudi Arabia, a midfielder, and be like, yeah, you're coming. Manchester United's calling. That's what honestly I was expecting. I wasn't expecting.
Give him another shot. I was waiting for it. You know, I was waiting for that kind of thing. You know what I mean? But again, for this level, you know, Sabitzer, like again, when he was at Leipzig, he was sought after. Like there was a reason why Bayern Munich purchased him, because again, like I think like most teams in Germany, if they don't play for Bayern Munich, they end up going there most of the time. And it just happens to be that Bayern Munich's got a really good midfield. Like that's what I was about to say. Yeah, they got good players. You know, yeah, they got Gravenberch can't get in, and by all accounts, we did try to get Gravenberch, which again would make a lot of sense. You know, and they said no, but they said get Sabitzer. And again, DJ, I go back to this morning, like we felt it was unlikely, and here we are sitting at the end of the day. We're still waiting on an official announcement, but still, it's weird, isn't it? Because if you just say to give people to give the club credit, people go, but it's a low bar. But they've done all right today, have they not?
Yeah, they have. And you know what? If we give the club credit, we'll be labelled Glazer sympathisers and all types of things. But the reality is, I know I was 20% this morning, but I wasn't certain. And that's me being honest, guys. I think we knew that. I said 20% because it is football. Anything can happen. And United have done some very weird, strange things in the past, which are very left field. But I was very surprised when the news came out about Sabitzer. Literally, I was extremely surprised. But I think it's, you know, our back was against the wall. And I think one of the things we may have to look at in a bit more in depth was Ten Hag having to kick and scream just to get Sabitzer through the door. Because by all accounts, the signs were looking like we weren't going to really go into the market. That was the sign. That obviously, I know the Eriksen thing changed things. But again, still, I didn't think that United would actually dip into the market to get a loan deal done. It just begs the question, was Ten Hag having to really, you know, literally maybe pull people by the scruff of the neck in that boardroom and say, get me somebody, because it didn't look likely.
Yeah, because when he did the press conference earlier today, if you were just to read in his demeanor then, it was like, no, we ain't getting anyone. He was asked and he went, well, you know, it's always difficult when you get a player injured and it's deadline day. And then what was crazy about that happened. And then next thing you know, it was like, yeah, United want to get Sabitzer. It's like an hour later. And it was like, oh, you know, and look, and whilst this has happened quickly, Mina, things, it can't have, the first contact mustn't have been made like midday today. That would have had to have been like at least last night, you would have thought.
Yeah, I think when did we play Reading? Saturday. So I think obviously the club have probably been aware that, because I think Eriksen leaving Old Trafford with a boot on crutches, I think that was a red flag number one. I think they were probably aware that, you know, it might have been a difficult injury. I was hearing rumors that he would actually be out until the end of March. So that's not too off of what they are expecting in terms of April, maybe May at best. So I do think it is probably something that has tallied over the weekend. And I don't think it was, I know everyone thinks it's last minute and it's transfer deadline day, but I do think it's probably a conversation that has been had leading up to today. So the last few days, especially because it's not just because there was alternatives to Sabitzer. So they were already thinking ahead of who else could we go for if Sabitzer is not an option. Obviously, until yesterday evening, they found out, confirmed how long Eriksen would actually be out for. So I think that just speeded up the process and allowed them to go ahead and, you know, move forward with Sabitzer. But like I said, I genuinely feel like they probably had a list of names, of options. And one thing I think, especially with Sabitzer, I remember having this conversation actually on the Loan View, talking about academy players like Kobbie Mainoo and obviously like Zidane Iqbal. In terms of the midfield options, Charlie Savage has gone out on loan. But I thought that if Eriksen did have a long-term injury, that United would go out for a loan deal, because I didn't think, I know a lot of people are thinking, yeah, this is an opportunity to play the kids, but I didn't think Ten Hag would really throw them out to the wolves just like that. But it's, again, two great midfielders that they get the opportunity to learn from, and should be interesting, I think.
I like the idea of United ringing around just top clubs in Europe. Just got anyone? Got anyone available? And look, this is also where agents make their money, right? They've got a player that's not happy, or they're not playing games, or they're going to be a free agent in the summer, and they're thinking, "How I can get some agent fees right now." They start giving the call. They start ringing around. They start saying to clubs, to directors of football, "Hey, I've got a player here that would be available. I've already spoken to the club. They're happy for him to go. This is what they're looking for." And they get the deal done. And by all accounts, United were offered a lot of players today. Billy Smith of the Super Chat says, "I hope Ten Hag doesn't treat the new signing like he did Casemiro. Had we not lost it was 6-3 to Man City, I'm not sure if Casemiro would have ever gotten his chance. This needs to be a Ten Hag signing." Well, I would think that he would come in fairly quickly. I don't think he's going to be like Sabitzer's in, Fred doesn't play. I think Fred will probably play the next couple of games, to be honest with you, because that's just what Ten Hag does. He integrates people slowly, or it takes a while. But I think just having that option, that's what we need. Another line here, and this is what's good about being live, is you never know what's going to happen. A bit of Manchester United news. This comes from Rob Dawson from ESPN, who is saying that Axel Twanzebe is heading to Stoke for a medical, set to be a straight loan until the end of the season. DJ, what do you make of that? Twanzebe, Axel's going out on loan.
Well, see, for me, I'm a bit conflicted, because if he's gone on loan, that means he can play. So why haven't we seen him play at United? And he's, I think, I can't remember the last time I saw him. He was always kind of billed as maybe a promising player. He's gone on a number of loans, come back, featured a little bit, injured again. So, yeah, a loan is the best option for him. But I guess by the summer, there will be something permanent in the works for him.
Amina, what do you think? Another one for the loan view, Twanzebe, going to the Stoke in the Championship now still. Yeah,
they're in the championship.
What do you think?
It's interesting, but I think they're going for him because Sutar is their centre back's going to Leicester. So if he can have a good loan spell, with them losing a centre back on a permanent basis, hopefully we can get something there in the summer if there's an opportunity. I think they're selling Sutar for like 15 million. So maybe we could get around 8-9 million of that.
8-9 million, yeah.
For Twanzebe. I'm really disappointed. I had high hopes for him. I had really high hopes for him. I obviously a few times we've seen him perform, and I thought, we haven't had a centre back really break out from the academy. So I had my, what's the saying? All my eggs in one basket when it came to him.
Yeah.
I thought he was the guy, but he's not. So I add him to the loan view list. I think he's just been unlucky with injuries, and anyone to go out and go on a loan spell and increase their valuation if it comes to moving on, then I'm all for that. I
think with Twanzebe as well, I think the frustrating thing for me is that we've seen him play against some of the best players in the world and hold his own. You know what I mean? When we played PSG, he was phenomenal against Mbappe. And then it's just kind of to see how far now he's fallen. Now he's going over to Stoke. It's a bit like there's a lot of unrealised potential there. And I think that's why we're frustrated as well. And exactly what Mina said, like we've never had that one superstar centre-back come through the academy into the first team where they're starting every week, every game. And we can honestly say like, yeah, that's a product of our youth academy. There's been a few promising ones that have poked their head up, but no one that's been able to sustain a first team spot. And that's frustrating in itself as well.
Well, he's out of contract at the end of the year. However, he does have an option of an additional year. So to your point, Mina, you could see a situation whereby if he has a decent loan, they'll be like, okay, trigger the option. Now you've got to buy him. That might be the situation. But he's had a lot of loans. I remember obviously the best one he had was when he was at Aston Villa in the Championship. And he did really well there. And there was this feeling of actually he could come back to United and he might be able to contribute. Maybe not at start, but he can contribute. Then he came there. And then I think he had like a hip injury. And the guy just didn't play for like over a year or something like that. It was crazy. And then he went back out on loan to Villa. Was it last season? That ended halfway through the season. They went to Napoli and he never played. And yeah, to your point, Mina, it is almost disappointing because I think at one period of time, there was like, oh, this guy might be the real deal. Again, real athletic player, felt like he had a lot of potential, but injuries and all that kind of stuff. And now we've got so many good centre-backs at the club. And I saw some comments there in the chat where they were saying that, oh, you know, he's just got back from injury, and now you're going to get rid of him. Yeah, like that's but that's why he didn't go in the summer, because he was on tour and then he went home. I think it might have been for a personal issue, they said. I think Ten Hag said at the time, but he went back and then I think he's been injured since. And I think he is a bit like Brandon Williams. Now, Brandon Williams doesn't look like he's going to be going anywhere this evening, but I think he was another one that if he was fit in the summer, he'd have probably gone. But when you get injured, obviously no one's going to have a look at you. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he does at Stoke. I think the main thing would just be that he actually plays games. I mean, keeps fit, play games, and you never know what could happen. He's still young. I mean, how old is he? He was 23 when he signed his contract. 21. 25. I think he's like 20, 25, something like that. So he's still, you know, he's still in the prime of his career, which is now's the time you need to start playing games. So here's hoping that if that deal does get completed, he does continue to play his games. Again, as of right now, still no confirmation on Marcel Sabitzer from Manchester United. The latest update was from this guy, Howard Nurse, who's for BBC Sport. And basically, he only tweets when Man United are about to sign someone or not about to sign someone. And the way he phrases it in his tweets is always a lot of fun. It's always like, so he's just put, Marcel Sabitzer almost done then, #MUFC. And he did it before when we didn't sign Gakpo. He went, Gakpo not going to United then, MUFC. that's the way he does it.
Briefest tweets ever.
Yeah,
brief.
Yeah. So if Howard Nurse is saying that, then you would get, like he said before,
an announcement coming at 11 o'clock.
Is that your prediction?
United are going to post a picture. They're going to post a tweet that he's been signed, and then an hour or so later, picture of him holding the United shirt.
That came from a divine source, Owen. That came from a divine. Did you see it? She was like,
This is Mystic Mina striking again. Mystic Mina has got some kind of weird clairvoyant power. She did it. Was it during the Manchester derby where you predicted near enough to the minute when someone was going to score? She was like Raven Simone. She got a vision.
Raven Simone.
It hit her during it. She went like. And then she went, we're going to score in the 82nd minute. And we did. So if Mina's saying that, well, watch out. That's 35 minutes away. But I agree with you, Mina. I think that would be the way that they do it. I think that they would do the tweet, which is, we've agreed a deal to sign him on loan. And then we might not even get those pictures till maybe tomorrow. But it does raise a point, though, DJ. Are we thinking then he's going to be at Old Trafford tomorrow? Is he going to be in the stands? He's going to be presented on the pitch?
Could be, and you know what I think with United, it's about sort of we don't need to be galvanized anymore, but I think, you know, being able to sort of galvanize the fans even more and galvanize the team, that sends another good message. You know, you do bring him. I think he will be there. Because he's in Manchester from what I'm hearing. So if he's in Manchester, then yeah, you're going to go to the game, aren't you? So he'll be in the stand. You'll probably see during the game the camera pan to a shadowy figure just sitting in the stand somewhere with maybe a scarf on. It'll be him. And if he does come out onto the pitch, I think it's a good sort of energizer for the fans. You know, we got to kick on this season. There's a lot of football to still be played. And, you know, I think he doesn't go straight into the starting 11. I agree with you guys. I think, you know, he'll probably miss maybe 3 to 4 games. He needs to get brought up to speed in the Ten Hag way and the way this team plays. So we might not see him straight off the back, but at least we have him.
How important do you think, Mina, he can become? Because I was musing on this earlier. I was musing, DJ. Yes, no, I was. Do you like that?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. I was musing on it earlier that you think of the games we've got coming up, potentially big ones, Carabao Cup final. Who knows how far we can go in the FA Cup, Europa League, even though you were saying before we went live that he might actually be banned for the first leg, which is annoying.
Yeah, so he's got a suspension, Champions League, UEFA suspension. So I'm not sure if he'll carry over to Europa League. But if it does, he comes back from suspension on the week of the 23rd, which is when we play the second fixture against Barcelona. Second leg.
Yeah. Well, but still, when it comes to the important games, my point being is that if we do achieve something pretty good this season, i.e. a trophy, possibly 2, and qualify for the top 4, then do we have a serious conversation at the end of the season? Because he might become quite integral to the team if he's part of those big moments.
You know, I think that depends on. It's a lot of ifs. It's obviously if we qualify for top 4, if we win a trophy, but if we get new owners. I think a big part of our summer transfer window, and just the general future under Erik ten Hag, is riding on, you know, the owners selling and finding someone who they feel is suitable to meet their requirements of the financial valuation that they have for Manchester United. I was actually watching on Sky Sports today, something Bartlett, the diary of a CEO.
Oh, I saw that.
Stephen Bartlett.
Yeah,
Stephen Bartlett.
I was
how
watching
he
that.
would be up for being part of a consortium to buy Manchester United. I don't know much about him financially in terms of the money he has or anything, but the fact that there's many people out there willingly happy to throw their names into a hat, I do feel like a change of ownership will eventually come, and with that will come the opportunity of, you know, funding and just having Erik ten Hag have a sufficient amount of backing from the board and whatnot. If Sabitzer has a good loan spell, I do feel like United should still go into the market to find a long-term option, a genuine target, because I don't feel like Sabitzer was a genuine target for Erik ten Hag. I think it was looking at the circumstances and the options and the situation that the club is in financially, and just making do with that, making the best out of that situation. But I would rather they go into the summer and I feel like it's just going to be a Frankie de Jong 2.0 saga all over again. Like, and I cannot handle it. I can't do it, guys. So I will not be on any streams. If United are linked to Frankie de Jong, I will not be here on any streams. I'm taking my name out the hat. I don't want to be part of it, because last summer it was a roller coaster of a journey, and I can't go through that roller coaster again. I can't do it.
Oh. Yeah, I watched that the Stephen Bartlett thing when he was on Sky Sports, and I, like you, thought it was interesting that when he was asked, "Oh, would you invest in Manchester United?" He went, "100%. Of course I would." And I was like, "Oh, that's very bold." At the same time, I thought, for a guy that's got a lot of money, his internet connection was horrid during the whole thing.
He didn't have a good camera.
No,
it looked like he was using a HP laptop webcam.
Yeah, I was very surprised. Very surprised. You never know, might just be quite a frugal guy. But no, I think, like I said, I think there's a lot of ifs and buts. It's one of these weird ones, DJ, isn't it? Where people will go, "He's not a Ten Hag signing. He's not Ten Hag signing." But what is a Ten Hag signing then? Because clearly Ten Hag would have signed off on this deal. We wouldn't do the deal if Ten Hag didn't want him. So what constitutes a Ten Hag signing? Is it someone that literally Ten Hag has to go to the board of the powers that be, like a Martinez, like an Anthony, people that maybe we wouldn't have been in for if Ten Hag wasn't around? Is that what people are defining as a Ten Hag signing? Or should almost every signing we make, because Ten Hag's got final approval on it, are they Ten Hag signings? Like, what's the difference?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. I think it comes down to maybe two things. I think it comes down to sort of like the player's attributes, mentality, because I think that's a huge thing. So I think what Ten Hag seems to do, he like to have the team thinking the exact same way that he thinks. We know Ten Hag is an intense individual, and he likes his players to have that intensity through 90 minutes. When he first come to United, that's what he was talking about, was intensity and mentality. So I think it's, if any of those players, obviously they have to have the ability and also the right type of profile to what we need in terms of the system we play. But if a player does have that tenacious sort of personality, wants to win, hungry, that would constitute, in my opinion, as a Ten Hag signing on one front. And the other front would be more so Ten Hag identifying a player, sitting down with his coaches and saying, yeah, this player A at X amount of club, that's who we want, and him going to the board and saying, get me that player. I think both of those definitions could mean a Ten Hag signing.
We've got over 800 people watching, less than 150 likes. We can get up to 400. We can get half. We can get half. If you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe to our bottom right hand corner. We are going to be live for the next half hour or so, awaiting this announcement, if indeed it comes, or waiting until the very least till the end of the transfer window, once the deadline does indeed pass. Again, if we get any update when it comes to the extension, if United have requested one, you would think, you would hope 30 minutes before the deadline, they would have at least broached it, going, do we need to do that paperwork? I mean, I'm still getting flashbacks to fax machines, guys. That's God. My concern.
I remember all of that. I remember
It's
that.
possible.
Oh man, please don't.
Can't they just take a
don't do
picture of the paperwork? I swear there's an app that
You can
if
scan
you take a
it.
picture of the paperwork, you can scan it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scan it. Yeah.
That's what I didn't understand with that. That even in 2015, who's using a fax machine? I mean, I know that's a long time ago, but still, like, what is this? The 1990s? I couldn't believe it. A fax machine. And then
What happened? Did it break? It broke.
I don't know. Would someone pull the plug out mysteriously?
Someone unplugged it.
Yeah. How'd you break a fax machine as well? I've never used one.
I've never used one.
I used one a long time ago. Long time ago. I didn't use it actually. I saw a relative using it. I'm too young.
It was a Ruba, allegedly. Yeah. I know someone that knows someone. Her cousin. She might have used one once. Oh, interesting. Speaking of that one though, because that was set to the hair one, that deal. He was going to go to Real Madrid. Keylor Navas was going to come the other way, come to Manchester United. He's on the move this evening. Yes, and now all the way here. In 2023, Fabrizio Romano, only about 15 minutes ago, said Keylor Navas to Nottingham Forest. Here we go. Wow. Agreement in place for a loan deal from PSG until the end of the season. He accepted Forest days ago, and now it's still documents finally signed. Imagine what could have been, Mina. He could have been a Manchester United goalkeeper. Now he's playing for Forest.
But you know what is even more interesting? Is Nottingham Forest losing faith in Dean Henderson to bring in a goalkeeper of Navas's ability? I'm curious because they've also been quite active, obviously, in the summer transfer window, and now in the January transfer window they've been very active. So it's interesting to see what that means for Dean Henderson.
I mean,
true.
That is true. I mean, I've heard that Henderson got an injury. I don't know how
he's
long
injured,
he's
but
out for.
I don't think it's a long term. I don't think it's a long term injury.
Yeah, and if that, but again, because. I mean, Keylor Navas, even, he's not the keeper he was however many years ago, but still like a massively experienced goalkeeper, Champions Leagues, Real Madrid, PSG. You wouldn't think he's going to go on loan to Forest just to sit on the bench.
Exactly.
He's come from PSG because he's playing on the bench because he's behind Donnarumma. So, I mean, DJ, what do you think that does mean for Henderson, actually? Has he just lost his spot at Forest?
I think he might have just lost his spot at Forest. And he's not going to be happy with that because if you remember a few years ago, he was quite bullish at United. I'm going to be the number one. And look how that panned out. And we just realized that maybe he isn't as good as he thinks he is. And obviously, if he's got an injury, there's going to be, he might have to take time to come back from that. But yeah, I think he's lost his spot there. I do believe that. And he might have to move from there.
I mean, they're saying the injury about a day ago was reported to be between 4 to 6 weeks. So, I mean, maybe you can see why they decided to dip into the market.
But Keylor Navas, though.
Yeah, Wayne Hennessy's been playing for them recently, and he's awful. He's not great. So I can understand the need to maybe want a bit of improvement there. But like, if Navas comes in and my point being, even with the injury, if Navas comes in with the experience, with we're assuming the money he'll be on too. Not that Dean Henderson's not on a lot of money because he is. If he plays well, Henderson won't get back in. You would think. Yeah, he might lose his spot anyway. And again, just thinking about this out loud, the finances of that, because Henderson's wages are being paid in full by Forest, and they're like $100K a week, I think, something like that.
Do you guys not know who owns Forest?
Yes.
Yes, research on him. They got the money. He got the money. He got the money.
He's not spending it very well. He's just spending it. What's the total now for players that they've got in this season? Is it like 30?
I think it's reaching 27 or something. They basically can make two starting 11s and have subs still. That's just from the players that they've brought in. That doesn't include the players that were already there.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's crazy. And they signed more. They've signed that Atletico Madrid's Felipe as well. It's about getting players. Also as well, DJ, this was quite an interesting one because we were linked to him in the summer, was Hakim Ziyech. He's going to PSG. He's going on loan until June. Would you have taken Ziyech at United? Would that have been an option, considering his history with Erik ten Hag?
I think I would have taken him. Again, similar profile to sort of like Anthony, I'd say. I think he's a good player, but just meh, really. A lot of these players are copy and paste, innit? Like, they're very similar in what they do. So, yeah, maybe.
You sound very enthused, DJ, by the prospect of it. Mina, what do you think? I mean, look, he had a really good World Cup. He was really impressive. The entire Morocco side. I'm surprised more Moroccan players haven't got moves coming out of that World Cup. I think they've tried.
One thing I'm very frustrated about, and I know it's not about Ziyech because you asked me about Ziyech, but I was covering
Amrabat.
Obviously the World Cup. Not even Amrabat. It's not even Amrabat. I was covering the World Cup, and obviously I was following Morocco quite closely because I was following them. And for me, Azzedine Ounahi would have been the perfect signing for Manchester United, and not just Manchester United, a lot of Premier League clubs. Especially because for me, he was probably one of the players of the entire tournament. And he does what Fred does, but just a lot elegantly. He's a lot taller. He's a lot physical. He's a lot more physical than Fred. He's younger, so obviously we know that Fred's they're probably going to trigger his 12-month extension. But Angers put a 20 million price tag on him, and he ended up going to Marseille for 10 million a few days ago. So it's just it's within the French league, understandable, but for 10 million, and I know if United had gone to sign him, we probably would have got quoted a bit more, but I don't think we would have been quoted more than 25 million. I genuinely don't think that. And one thing that I think that, I'm reassured by is that if Ten Hag wanted him, Ten Hag would have got him. I'm kind of assured about that. So in terms of Hakim Ziyech, I like Hakim Ziyech, and I think that he's not used correctly at Chelsea. At the World Cup, we saw what he's capable of, but we do not need another profile like Ziyech at Manchester United. We've got way too many wingers. We have way too many wingers. And even if there was an outgoing, hypothetically, if Elanga went on loan, I still wouldn't want
Still don't need no wingers.
Because I just don't feel like it's something that we need to address. Midfield and strikers, we've been saying that we wanted to address it for some time now, and even though we've just addressed it by getting loan signings, I still think obviously that shows that it's a topic of discussion with the manager, with the board, with recruitment, etc. As great of a player Hakim Ziyech is, I just don't think he's into Manchester. Like he would be for Manchester United.
I mean, I agree with you. I really liked, how'd you say it? Ounahi,
Ounahi.
At the World Cup, because I agree with you, he's quite rangy. And that was one of, I thought Morocco's most impressive parts of their World Cup was their midfield. Their midfield in some games was brilliant. And I saw that Amrabat was good. I don't think he went to Barcelona in the end.
No, it didn't happen. He was
collapsed,
linked to them. Fiorentina were actually concerned. I sound like flipping like I'm Fabrizio Romano right now, but it's just what I've read today, guys.
Let's go to Mina.
This is what I've read. But Fiorentina, Barca wanted him on loan, but Fiorentina were worried about the obligation to buy in the summer.
Yes,
financially, whether Barca would be able to afford it. 35 million, I think they said for him. And also because it was just late in the transfer window, and he actually was posting indirects on his Instagram story.
Yeah.
So that's funny.
I saw that. He was talking about, looking towards the future and all that kind of stuff. I was like, very cryptic.
He was also linked to Liverpool shortly after, during the World Cup, actually. His agents were linked to meeting with Liverpool officials, recruitment officials in Qatar during the World Cup. So I'm not sure what happened with that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was really impressed by their midfield, and I still think he'll probably move in the summer. When it comes to Ziyech, you're right. We don't need any more right wingers. We've got enough. We've got Anthony. We've got Sancho to come back. Whilst I do think he's a little bit different to Anthony in the sense of he can actually put the ball in the box. Anthony can't really. But at the same time, Anthony offers things different than Ziyech would too. But I think, to be honest, him going to PSG on that's a great deal for him. What a great move. Not really playing games at Chelsea, go to PSG, gets to play with some amazing players. I don't know what?
I don't know where's he going to play. From what I remember with PSG, he ain't going to play on that right-hand side. But it's rotation. Who's
he getting out of the team? I'll just go for Neymar. Or Mbappe. Yeah, you know what I mean? Happen. Mbappe picks a team. Ziyech, you're on the bench, mate.
The good thing that works for Ziyech is that Hakimi and Mbappe are best friends, and Hakimi and Ziyech are friends. So maybe he might get some leeway from.
Yeah, he might get a little bit of Mbappe.
Yeah, that's true as well. Again, if you're just tuning in, we're still waiting on any official confirmation regarding Marcel Sabitzer. The latest updates was that he was at the training ground. Documents were signed as of a couple of hours ago. Regarding any official update on those documents, still don't know. Still don't know. Still trying, doing the thing. When you keep scrolling on your Twitter feed.
Yeah, so it
and
refreshes.
it makes that weird noise now. It goes,
yeah.
whoop, whoop,
Why?
whoop,
I don't get it. It's annoying.
Guys,
It's
don't be
useless.
stressed. The announcement is gonna come.
Oh, it's 11.
Very, very
Yeah, Mina
soon.
said it was going to be at 11. Yes,
It's gonna come very, very soon. Don't stress.
Mystic means.
Mystic Mina, exactly. Nina Simone. And that kind of works because Nina Simone as well.
Yeah, Nina Simone.
Mina Simone. That's tremendous. What's interesting too is now that it's 20 to 11, it's past the 10:30 p.m. embargo for the press conference from Erik ten Hag today, which of course KG, the comedian, was in and asked a question to the Manchester United manager. No, this is not like multiverse settings. This is real. KG was at Carrington. He spoke to the United manager. The full video's on the channel. He asked him about Aaron Saka, his son. Also asked him about Weghorst. I tell you what a journey. What a life. And KG killed it as well. But one of the questions asked to Ten Hag when it came to late deals, and it's quite interesting now knowing this, he said, quote, "I think I said from day one, when there are opportunities, we will do them. That is also true for every hour we have still. If there are opportunities, we have to act." And act we did.
Yes.
He wasn't lying when he said that, DJ. And he said that a few times, hasn't he? Of going, well, it's unlikely, but I think at any big club like Manchester United, if something or someone becomes available, you have to act. And is that the Ten Hag mentality rubbing off on those above him?
It should be, and I hope it is, because at the end of the day, he was having to put those little sound bites in there because he knows he needs to get a reaction from the board. If United is to achieve anything this season, we needed reinforcements. And yeah, it's 2 loans in Wout Weghorst and Sabitzer, but we needed that. And I'm glad that he's honest. There will be a lot of managers that might roll over and do the whole, I'm happy with my squad, and then mention the below par players and be like, yeah, they still got to come into the team and perform. He didn't do that. He just said, look, if there's and as a fan, I can't stand that. Honestly, I'd rather you just come out and just say, look, we can't buy players, there's no money, or just come out and say, yeah, he admitted multiple times, I want players, we need players here if we're going to move forward. And I'm glad he's kind of forced the board's hand. And I think the Eriksen thing obviously just played a massive part in it as well.
Yeah, I think I used to hate that when Ollie used to do that.
Oh,
that
man.
You know what I mean? We've got great players here. Why do we need players? We've got McTominay and Fred. It's like, and you go like, wow, because we would do. I'm very happy with players. I don't want players. I've told the board not to do any business. They even said to me, I don't want it. I don't want any business. I don't sign people. Come on. Game Fanatic with a super chat says, please no Adrian Silva, Leicester repeat, 14 seconds. I saw Adrian Silva. That's a blast from the past. I haven't heard that name in a long
I ain't had that name in ages.
I'm not sure. No, I'm not sure. Expand on that super chat, Game Fanatic, as well, because I'm not sure where that one was coming from. I also want to mention this. This was another quote in the press conference, and I suppose it goes to talk about midfielders while we're going for Sabitzer. Ten Hag was asked on whether Lisandro Martinez could cover in midfield. And he said, quote, he did it before in Ajax. This is also one thing that me as a manager, you have to be creative in certain situations when in other departments, you have players who can't be starting 11 players. Because I can only play one player in that position, maybe we can move the departments and be creative to form the team. So Mina, he's not necessarily saying there that he wouldn't play Lisandro Martinez in midfield. But it's interesting that conversation comes up again when that was a big point of conversation prior to the Arsenal game. But to your point, heading into that Arsenal game, he would want to maybe try it a couple of times before doing it.
Yeah, I don't think it's something we'll see unless something big happens, like we lose all our options in that position. I'm not flex. I ain't flex. Maybe with his absence, someone else might have the judge, but I don't. But it's really interesting that, because I do feel like he would be a different DM player to Casemiro. I do feel like he would be different. I would actually even be interested to see him and Casemiro together.
Ooh,
in a
too much
double
hot
pivot.
sauce. That's too much hot sauce in there.
That's so much temperament. Someone's getting sent off.
Someone's getting.
Someone's getting
Good.
sent off. If them two play in a double pivot together, someone's getting sent off. But like, yeah, I said it in the past. I don't think, you know, in a game, if Casemiro was to be unavailable, if Sabitzer, for example, was to be available, I don't think we'd see experimenting with him, with Martinez there, just because it's Ten Hag has shown us it's something that he trials before he does. Like I said, we've seen Luke Shaw at left centre back, so we know that first game against Barcelona, it's quite likely that we might see Luke Shaw again at left centre back, because we've seen him there multiple times this season, especially also in big games. So I think I don't see Martinez playing DM anytime soon.
Super chat from Royston here says Chelsea sign Enzo until 2031. How is this legal? My goodness, 2031. What's that? 8 years?
It's 8 years.
8
you know
years.
What's crazy? He joins at the age of 22 and leaves 30. Do you know how mental that is?
It's career, isn't it? That's just you can play for Chelsea. We're getting back to one club people basically at this point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They played there for their entire career. That's just crazy.
Bowley, he's not messing about, is he? Bowley is not messing about.
But I didn't understand with Benfica with this, because they didn't activate the release clause, because to activate the release clause you have to literally say like, here is 120 million euros, and they didn't have that. It's done all in installments and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, look, I understand that can secure financially Benfica for a really long time, but still, like, Chelsea have been not nice to negotiate with throughout this entire window.
You know,
they've
apparently, again, it's just what I've heard, but Todd Bowley was looking to do, I think, pay it over like 5 years in like multiple different installments each year, and Rui Costa wanted it in 2 years, 120 million, and if that was going to be the reason that it was going to collapse, Todd Bowley was ready to trigger the clause, the release clause.
Man, Todd's just something else, man.
He's not messing about.
He's changing the transfer window. I really think he's changing the transfer window.
That's fair. That's fair to say. I think he is. I mean, I don't like it, because I don't think there's a lot of strategy behind it. But again, like you said, like, there might be. I mean, this is because it's so unprecedented, really, what he's doing. We've seen teams have big windows or have big summers, but not back to back like this. Not to this level. Never to this level. I mean, you've seen like City, I think, when they won the league under Pep under the first time, they went crazy in that summer. They spent like a huge amount of money, but never to this level. Like they nearly spent, was it 300 in the summer? They're basically going to spend like 300 again now.
They've spent more in this season, or just to forget that, just this transfer window, the January transfer window. I think they've spent more than like 3 of the top 5 leagues combined.
Yeah, I saw that.
Crazy.
Like, it's crazy. But
crazy.
You're right, Mina. I think like it might change definitely how the January transfer window is perceived. Like before, the January transfer window is perceived as really difficult to do business. You can't do business in it. And Chelsea are like, no.
You can.
It's not even just the transfer window, but I'm thinking like, and from a player's perspective, why are you signing an 8-year contract? Why are you signing a 7-year contract?
I mean, I can see both sides of it. One thing you would almost say, look, if you've got any ambition, you wouldn't sign that long a contract, because you'd be like, hey, 3 years, 4, you know, usually now it was like 5, wasn't it? But like 4 years, whatever. And then at the end of that 4 years, I'm getting a bigger contract. I'm getting more. But now, like it was like Mudryk, wasn't it? He was on something like 3K a week. And now he's gone to, was it like 200, 250, something like that, for like 7 years. Of course he'd take that. Are you kidding me? Like 7 years on that amount. And the reason I say it's crazy is because, like, and it looks like he is good from the performances he's had so far, but what happens if he's not? You've got him for 7 years. And what even if you determine that he's not even that he's not good, but he's just okay? And you go, it's not a lot of money. How do you get rid of him? How does he go?
Chelsea are risking it all. That's what they're doing. They're literally risking it all. They're going for broke. They're going, this is either it's gonna work or it doesn't. They're literally just risk central. reckless abandon spending. They don't care. Big contracts, big money. It's crazy. And my message to whoever takes over United is: can you compete? Can you compete for these players, for the best players in the world? Can you compete with the likes of Chelsea? Because Chelsea,
well, I don't
they're
want
burning
that.
through cash.
They're
They're burning through cash.
I don't want that though.
But
I
also
don't
think-
want the new owners to do that.
I think Todd Bowley, when they were buying Chelsea, I think one of the agreements was to invest like 1.5 billion in the
'cause they got
club.
that loan taken out, didn't they?
I didn't think he was going to invest half of it in the space of 6 months. I thought like maybe it would be 200 every transfer window every year or whatnot. I didn't think he was going to spend near enough to 700 million in 2 transfer windows within 6 months. And I do feel like it sets a bad precedent. It's crazy because, you know, people are so mad about the Super League. We are the Super League. The Premier League is the Super League because it's the only league in the world where people are spending this much money in a January transfer window. I know people were talking about like Barcelona's summer transfer and what they were doing, but the Premier League spent more than 1 billion combined in comparison to all the other leagues. And one thing I just want to know is that with Chelsea, I know this ain't a Chelsea channel, but like, what is their plan? Is their plan to just field a team of under 23s? It's literally under 23s that they're fielding. Yes, senior football players, but what is their plan in terms of like it's death row contracts that they got everybody on?
Yeah, and it's not sustainable. It's not, and that's my point as well. Like, surely they can't do that in the summer. Like, they can't just get people on 8-year contracts in the summer and spend over 300 million because eventually, like, you do run out of space. You know what I mean? Yeah, this was the thing they were referencing when it came to Silva. Is his paperwork reached FIFA 14 seconds late, so Leicester couldn't register him till the next transfer window. That's harsh, isn't it? Like, if it's 14 seconds.
Just to let you lot know, the announcement's coming in the next few minutes. United are about to announce it.
Is that Mina sources or is that Mina brain?
There's sources. It'll be confirmed in the next few minutes.
Nick with the super chat says, imagine having 9 to 10 players on the bench with massive wages and long-term contracts and then failed to move them on. Winston Bogard settings 2.0. Look, I mean, that's been United for years. That's I think maybe why United fans look at this Chelsea situation differently, because they say, like, look, we've had that. We've had players that like we couldn't get rid of and we had to just wait till their contract expired. That happened a lot last season with a lot of players. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's going to either spectacularly succeed for Chelsea, right? They're going to just be unbelievable and they're going to have this amazing squad of players in their prime. We're going to be like, oh my goodness, look at Chelsea. How Todd Bowley's a genius. Or in like 2 or 3 years' time, we're going to be going, I tell you what, Chelsea are a mess. Chelsea, because on top of that, how can you spend that amount of money? And then if you don't qualify for the top 4, like financially, that's a hit. Like that is, I mean, I know that they don't have like the debt that say United do. And like Amina said, that Roman Abramovich loan, he took it away from the club. So it was fine. And they didn't have a transfer window a few seasons ago. So FFP, they're actually quite healthy. But at the same time, like it comes due eventually. Like it always comes due eventually. You can't hide away from it. Like it's just, I don't know. The more I think about it, it just hurts my head as well, Mina, when I try and think of the numbers. I've tried to figure out, was it amortization? Is that the word?
Amortization, yeah.
I don't understand.
Amortization is basically an accounting term of how, not just in football, but just general accounting term, how they allocate costs on the balance sheet, if it's fixed asset or current assets. But in the terms of football, they amortize the costs of a player. So, for example, Enzo Fernandez, they brought him for 120 million. On their balance sheet, Chelsea won't directly report 120 million this year in their financial statement for the financial year. Instead, because he signed an 8-year contract, they can amortize that cost as an intangible asset over the number of years of the contract. So 120 divided by 8, I don't know how much it is off the top of my head, but that's what they will report in their financial statements.
Cartel settings, man. Chelsea
so
on some cartel settings.
That's how they get around FFP, basically.
And there's no short. I don't think there's a minimum. Like, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, people can sign maximum 5 years. There is no limit. I could sign a 20-year football contract if I wanted to.
That's nuts, isn't it? I mean, I heard that they were, talking about possibly implementing new rules to get around it. But at the same time, if that's the case, I say fair play to Chelsea with that. If you find any ways to get around the rules and in a legal setting, fair enough. You know what I mean? Fair enough.
You got to give it to them. They've been ultra aggressive, like literally ultra aggressive, not taking no for an answer, and they want these players. Do I think it's a bit? Well, not even a bit. It's highly risky, like crazy, like big risk. If it doesn't work, this is going to be a big mess, like a massive financial mess. Players' lives are going to be impacted by this, so it needs to work. They're going for broke straight away. They're literally trying to win the league next season. That's what they're trying to do.
No, but they have to. Like I've seen a lot of people discussing what like the aims are for they have to win. I'm sorry, they have to win the Premier League. They have to win the Champions League. They even have to win FA Cup, Carabao Cup. You need to go to America, go win the NBA championship. You need to win everything. They have to win everything with what they
badminton, everything, patball,
every competition. That's every sporting competition happening in the world. Todd Bowley needs to send a squad, and they have to win it. I don't care what
they've got enough players. They could. They've got an entire NFL team. They've got defensive and attacking teams. Special teams and all that kind of stuff. I mean. Because you're right, actually. I hadn't thought of this. Like, if they improve, but they're still like average for a top 6 side, you know what I mean? If they're like 3rd or 4th, that's terrible for them. You know what I mean? It's changed,
worse
isn't it?
It's worse than what I think like City have done in terms of I think it took them quite a few years before when they got brought by who are they owned by? Abu Dhabi. When they got brought by Abu Dhabi, I think it took them time before they actually started becoming a bit competitive in the Premier League and whatnot. Chelsea don't have that. Immediately, they need to be competitive. Starting August next season, straight 3 points every game. They have to be smoking teams 3-4, 5-0 because what they've spent and in such a small time frame, they've hijacked multiple transfers from like every club in the Premier League.
Transfer bullies.
Manchester United were watching him since the summer as a right back option, I remember. And they couldn't come to an agreement with Leon, and I think they chose to monitor him instead. Bam, they just came in and signed. And I even heard rumours that Manchester United officials were speaking to him, saying to not make a hasty decision. But he was getting signed to the death row contract as well.
Yeah,
he was ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think when we go, well, let's say we go after Frankie de Jong again, do you think he could go? Do you think they could go after him? They tried it in the summer. They did try going after Frankie in the summer. That's true.
They got Enzo, so I don't see them trying to hijack anybody else's deal.
That is true. Well, I'm waiting. 60-second countdown, Mina. I'm waiting for this 11 p.m. Obviously, the window is about to shut in 45 seconds, according to Sky Sports News.
Oh, they have filed the paperwork. That's been filed.
Have they filed the paperwork as in they can announce it afterwards, or have they filed the paperwork like it's done deal, done matter?
Apparently, what's his name? Sam Lockhurst is saying that they have until midnight to finalize it now because they have filed.
Yeah, because of the FIFA things.
Cool.
Yeah.
So it gives them an extra hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
It gives them an extra hour.
Yeah, so Samuel Luckhurst is just saying that Manchester United have filed their deal sheet for Sabitzer and will have until midnight to finalise the signing. So that was the thing I was referencing earlier from FIFA. There's this thing called a deal sheet, which does have to be done by midnight. They can get extensions from the likes of the Premier League and all that kind of stuff, but international transfers have to be done by this deal sheet by FIFA, and they have until midnight. I love when Sky Sports always now show like the deadline shuts. Big picture of Big Ben. Every time, because that's the only way to tell the time here in the UK is by Big Ben. That's it. Otherwise, I don't know what the time is. I can't see Big Ben. How would I know what the time is? They always do that. New Year's, Big Ben. Deadline day, Big Ben. You know what I mean? And they play they play literally 11.
World's most famous clock. World's most famous clock.
And it's been renovated as well. But again, we are still waiting on that as to when, if it does get announced. I don't know.
Do you know why I also think we've gone in to get him? Because I saw Ten Hag saying that McTominay is going to be out for a bit as well with a long-term injury. So when you think about just Casemiro and Fred, it makes sense to get a third midfielder. because we actually don't have anybody else. And if any of them get injured, then that's going to be a big problem. I think that's when the big problem would arise. I think running on a squad depth for your holding central midfielders with 3 players is a scary sight.
You know what? I was just thinking, back to sort of like the Chelsea thing just quickly. I think when United in the past have signed multiple players, there's always been pundits and, the critics always been like, how is X amount of manager going to keep all these players happy? I want to see the same narrative used for Chelsea. I want to see it because, yeah, they have all these great players, but I'm telling you now, there's going to be a lot, as you said, they're signing their life away. There's going to be a lot of them not playing. There's going to be a lot of them not playing. So I don't know how that's even going to work.
If you wanted to buy one of these players, let's say, again, 8-year contract. Let's say 3 years' time, someone wants to buy Enzo Fernandez. They've got to buy him out of a 5-year contract. How much does that cost? Like, that's crazy. Maybe you're right, Mina. Maybe just the way like transfers are working. Maybe it's just changing now. Maybe we're going through this.
No, do you know what I think it is? And I remember Wenger speaking about it a while back as well, about, how a lot of players like to run down their contract so that they can have more options as a free agent. And like we saw it in the summer with quite a few players. Babakor Kamara, obviously Paul Pogba. This will make it a lot harder for players to run down their contract, but I think you will see a lot more unhappy players when they're not playing, for example. Because, for example, if I was on a 3-year deal and I'm in my 3rd year of my contract, I know if I'm not playing, or I'm not playing as much as I want, I know that come summer, I will have options because I'll be a free agent. What about if I'm only 2 years into my 8-year contract? Will we see a lot of players doing what Caicedo did when he was trying to force a move to Arsenal, which, by the way, I think that was poor advising from his agents, or whoever advised him to put out that Instagram post. I think that was really bad, because they, I think, ended up suspending him from training until the transfer window closed. But I do feel like you will see a lot more players speaking out and forcing moves.
It could get real toxic over there. It could get real toxic in Chelsea. It could get really, really bad if it goes wrong. Really bad.
And what have they got to strive towards as well? Like, if you're set, like, again, I know not everything's financially motivated, but like, if you know that I've got a contract for 7 or 8 years, I'm on this money regardless, like, it should be players wanting to achieve like winning things and stuff like that. But for some people, like, it's not. Like, they'll be like, oh, I'm comfortable. I'm here for 8 years. I've got my money. I'm done.
But even like when you think of just this season, just this window, that the players that they've brought in, all different profiles, all different playing styles. Some of them I've been watching prior to them joining Chelsea. And I just think, is this the managers doing, or is this the owners just looking around at the best youngsters out there in the market that have a high ceiling and think, okay, let's make them part of our project? Because everyone they signed was of a certain age. None of them were anything similar in terms of playing styles, or even the teams that they have come from and the structure they have come from. We saw people coming from lower parts of the table in their league. We've seen people coming, like, leaving Benfica and coming to Chelsea, which I understand. Some people will say is an upgrade. But was that just based on Enzo Fernandez's World Cup? Like, and if so, is Potter making that judgment? And I know this ain't like a Chelsea stream or anything, but there's so many questions I have about Chelsea's transfer window that makes me so curious, because all these signings and all the money being spent, it makes me sometimes feel like it's actually not the manager, and it's Todd Bowley trying to change the structure of
it's scattergun. It just seems like powerful men with a lot of money just spending it on what they think's the next best thing. That's what it kind of looks like to me. There's not really any thought behind it, and you're right, there's such a mixed match of players, and for whatever style that Potter wants to implement next season, well, this season and going into next season, you have to get all these different guys to be on the same wavelength, and sometimes it's just not doable. It's just not doable. There isn't a clear strategy. Maybe from an age perspective, because you mentioned the age, maybe from an age perspective, they just want to get younger players. But in terms of an actual strategy, in terms of how they're going to play, Man, I don't know if I don't know, and I said this before. I don't even think Potter's going to be the one to see it out. I don't think so.
How long did he sign? It was like a 7-year contract or something. It was a long contract, wasn't it? Even he. Royston says Mudryk and Kunku, Enzo, Maduki, Sterling, Malagusto. This is like me in FIFA with £1 billion financial takeover of Salford City.
This is what I did. That's why I did on FIFA.
I used to do that back on Alame Manager back in the day. I used to put cheat codes in and get you gather like all that money. But it's boring. Like there's no challenge in it.
After your first season, I did it with QPR on FIFA, and I didn't buy like all the world class players. I just bought good players, and I got QPR promoted, won the FA Cup, beat Liverpool 3-0 in the final, and then I was bored. I was like, oh, okay, on to the next.
Priest of Melanin says FFP will investigate Chelsea when the season ends. I don't think they will. That's the thing. I think they might have a look in changing rules when it comes to contracts or that kind of thing, but I don't think they will because, and this is the thing,
they're not doing anything wrong.
They haven't done anything wrong. Yeah, so you can't I don't think you can actually properly investigate them. I just saw a tweet as well, by the way, that said this is hopefully anyway, the last transfer window under the Glazer ownership, DJ.
Thank God. We will not miss them. I was actually thinking about it today. I was driving and for some reason the Glazers just popped into my head. I don't know why. And I just thought...
Behind the wheel, it's very dangerous.
He just be driving and the Glazers
I just be driving. And the Glazers literally just came into my head and I was just like, they're just so parasitic, horrible owners that should have never, ever taken control of our club. And I can honestly say from the bottom of my heart, people, it's been painful. It's been so painful to have these individuals running our club. They really don't give a shit. They don't give a shit about us. They don't give a shit about the heritage of the club. Like, they were just awful, just utterly awful. And I'm thankful that there is some form of light at the end of the tunnel. The only thing I don't want is for us to be given to one of their friends or someone that they know. Please no. I want oil money. That's me. I don't speak for everybody, but DJ wants oil money. I want powerful people to come take over the club where we could be the biggest, richest club in the world. That's what I want, because I'm tired of having to go into the transfer markets like this and have to scrimp and scrape and get loans in. I'm tired of it. I just want the money and the gold. Thank you. That's all.
Wow, that turned into a bit of a soapbox thing. I appreciate it. Yeah, I like it. SK says, breaking news, Murto's pen ran out of ink. Sabitzer is not done. Jokes, I'm worried. It's 3, Donny, McTominay, Ericsson out in midfield and 1 in.
True.
Well, imagine if we hadn't got the player. I mean, that's kind of the point, isn't it? Is that if we hadn't got the player, who knows what could happen. Also, as well, Donny's not going anywhere because he's going to probably be out past the summer transfer window. So I don't think he'll go anywhere. Again, Ericsson's out for 3 months. McTominay, I don't even know when how long his injury is for. I'm not sure. I don't think we've had any confirmation on that.
Mina, do you know?
Yeah, do you know?
Nah, I don't know. Ten Hag also, they actually didn't give a specific time frame, but they said at least 3 weeks. So that's
a month. It'll be a month.
That's at least up until basically the Carabao Cup final, at least.
That's true as well. Well, again, I don't know what to do now because I'm not waiting until midnight being live. I gotta go to bed. So look, guys, I guess if the announcement is made, we'll have to cover it in the morning. But you know what the problem is, guys, is because I know how these things work is I'll play the end video and I'll click end broadcast and then it will be announced. Manchester United, welcome Sabitzer. I'm like, oh, son of a... Anyway, well, look.
How about you rate the January transfer window? Given the fact that we've only brought 3 players in on loan.
I think, you know what, I'm going to go a bit crazy here, Mina. I think considering what I thought it was going to be and considering the circumstances of the money we didn't have, I'm going to give it a 7. Thoughts on the 7? Anyone care to jump on the 7?
I think that's quite high. Yeah,
I'd
I
say
genuinely think that's a bit high.
I'd say like a 4.
I'd give it about a 4 at night. I mean, that's me being really
Why?
nice. I'd actually give it a 2 because when you look at the way that
4 dropped to a 2 quick.
yeah, I'm between 2 and 4. I'm between 2 and 4 because when you look at the way that other top 6 teams have strengthened their teams, it's just frustrating to see. Look at Arsenal, for example, brought in Trossard, brought in Jorginho. These are proven Premier League players. Obviously, they've got the money for that, and also they are in a title race. You look at Chelsea running around just buying everybody. You know, Liverpool, the struggles they have with midfield and whatnot. They brought in Cody Gakpo. Man City sending out Cancelo for me, which is actually quite a shock.
Surprising.
They actually didn't strengthen, but I don't think they really needed to. Who else? Spurs. They brought in Danjuma, brought in Pedro Porro. All we've done is bring in free loans, literally free loans.
But the reason I
with
say
the circumstances,
7,
yeah, I understand, but it's still
that's my
nice.
thing. If this was a normal window, if Man United had money and we got free loans, then I'd be like, oh yeah, 1, because we got a couple of players. But considering the circumstances of, we were being told all the way through, weren't we, that we're not getting anyone. Like, just don't hold out any hope. We're not getting anyone. And we managed to get a striker and a midfielder. I don't think that, and good ones as well. Not like proper panicky ones. I think, like, you know, even about Weghorst, you can say about his ability or whatever. He's doing all right. He's doing okay. And I think that is a Ten Hag player, actually, in the sense of he knows him, he likes him, and I think he's doing okay. And Sabitzer, we'll have to wait and see. But I think considering the circumstances, I'm happy with the window. I am.
Yeah. It just
DJ,
goes back
what
to
do you
my
say?
it just goes back to my rant. I said 4 out of 10. I'm just tired of having windows like this, guys. I'm just tired of it.
That's
like,
true.
We're just sitting here on our Todd watching our rivals just freely spend cash deals, getting players in, top quality players, I might add. And we're just here like, no, free loans because we ain't got no money. Like, nah, tired of it, man.
By the way,
tired.
This is such a disgraceful tweet that's been put out there, right? Because it's one of those ones that makes you want to read something, right? And you go, what? So the tweet is, Marcel Sabitzer is not expected to wear Manchester United's number 7 shirt. But when I first read that, I went, he's wearing number 7. I couldn't believe it.
I can't remember what his number he actually wore at Leipzig.
I don't know.
It definitely weren't number 7.
Was it a high number?
Like,
Did he wear a
could
high
you imagine?
No,
Could you imagine if the iconic number 7,
Meltdown.
the one to wear it after Ronaldo, we go to a guy on loan?
Well, he does wear number 9 for his national team. He wears number 9 for Austria, and he wears number 18 at Bayern Munich.
Why would you tweet that? Marcel Sabitzer is not expected to wear Man United's number 7. No one was speculating.
He wore number 7. He wore number 7 at Leipzig. That's why. He wore number 7 at Leipzig.
They would nip it in the bud from early. Yeah,
it would be
imagine giving it to a lone player.
It would be very, very, like not, and with no option as well, with no future at Manchester United. You can have it temporarily. That'd be peak. That'd be peak Man United. People saying that he was 7 out Leipzig. That might be why. And also,
I think he's going to wear
number
number 24 or something.
24. Is that in line with your prediction that it was going to get announced at 11 p.m. as well? Hit and a miss, Mina.
Guys, I'm allowed to be off sometimes again.
Yeah, exactly.
My sources are not always accurate.
Yeah,
but you know what?
Are not
it was the way it happened though, because we was talking and she just flicked her head up like, guys, 11 p.m. is gonna sign. Yeah, that's what I was like.
And it was proper, like, talking in the ear, Sky Sports. We're just getting some news in.
If you say things enough times, at least you'll be right at least once. So I've made predictions so many times, but the one time I made the prediction with the City game, it happened. So if I make those predictions enough, one of it will happen, and then I can have a good success rate.
And you only have to get it right once. Like people, and because if you get it right once, but if you get it wrong 10 times, people just focus on the one that you got it right. They go, it's brilliant. Genius. She's sidekick. You wrote it. You're wrong with all the other times. Doesn't matter. She got it right that one time. And to be fair, the specificness of the 82nd minute, it's not bad. It's not bad. I just saw as well, I'm seeing, I forgot about this one. Matt Doherty from Spurs, he's gone to Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, John Joe Shelby has gone to Nottingham Forest from Newcastle.
But Doherty to Atletico, I mean, did they just assume it worked with Trippier? We'll try it again.
Try
It
it,
might
yeah.
work,
Why
yeah.
not?
Adam, what a career he's had. I mean, what was he? He went from Wolves to
Yeah.
Spurs. Now he's at Atletico. I don't know about that. I don't know.
It's just
Well,
been a
look,
weird
guys,
transfer window. It's just
it has
Weird,
been a
innit?
weird transfer
It's
window.
been-
I mean,
Jorginho at
I'd
Arsenal.
say.
You just strengthened
Yeah.
your rivals. Like, what? Because that makes sense.
well, when was his contract expired? It's expiring this year, wasn't it? I think Jorginho. Was that why? I think it was. Maybe.
I think so, yeah. I think so. That's why they were looking to move him on. And I don't think he was planning to sign an extension.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Carve Solico on Sky Sports saying that Arsenal had the best window out of anyone. I was like, I don't know if I agree with that. Who had the best window? Manchester United with their 7.
You would say Chelsea have had
Chelsea,
the best transfer
yeah,
window.
Chelsea.
In terms of players that they've brought, well, how are we defining the best window then? Just in terms of the amount of players brought in, or the type of players
The type of
brought
players,
in?
the quality, the potential of the players.
I think they've had the best window, clearly.
They've added depth to every single position, every position of theirs in two transfer windows.
But now Arsenal, back to Arsenal, I think they're going to have a really good midfield now. Really good midfield. Like that, it's so annoying, man. Why can't we just bring in good players, man?
They
Like,
got
why
who
are
did they
we-
get? Jorginho, Trossard, and the defender from Poland. That's who they got, didn't they?
And then you add that to what they've already got.
Well, they've got a squad now. That was the thing that people were concerned about for the remainder of the season, wasn't it? You know, Europa League, how are they going to cope? They've got enough to cope from it, you know, now.
Yeah.
It's possible. Well, there you go, guys. No announcement. And again, I'm trying to pad time, but it's just not going to happen. I'm not staying up to midnight. I refuse. So, end the show. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. 40 likes. We've been live for over nearly an hour and 20 minutes. Not even at 400 likes. It's disgrace. It's cheat.
Disgraceful.
Disgraceful.
It's cheat. Oh, and by the way, happy birthday, Josh. It's his birthday today. So
and happy
I'm not
birthday.
sure.
Happy birthday, Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah, happy birthday, Josh. I was gonna Louis. Happy birthday, Louis.
Oh,
Happy
yes.
birthday.
Louis,
It's
yeah.
Louis'
Louis.
birthday as well.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Louis. Did they share the
Big
same
up, Louis.
birthday?
Guess so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just assuming. I know his birthday is this week. I couldn't remember if it was today or tomorrow.
Do you know what?
happy birthday to him.
I could
I
admit
think it's his
something.
birthday today.
I can admit something embarrassing. I feel comfortable enough with the UV audience with this. Is that I may have remembered that it was Josh's birthday because I saw a story where someone was wishing him a happy birthday today, and I went, it's his birthday.
You know what? Same, but I didn't want to say anything in the group chat because I didn't think he wanted anyone to know it was his birthday.
No,
because nobody said
and
anything.
the worst thing is I'd been speaking to him all day. I'd spoken to him on the phone like 3 or 4 times. And I just thought, I thought I must have come across very cold. I was not very congratulatory about his birthday, and then I tried to slip it in later on.
He's gonna feel like Yaya Toure. It's the Yaya Toure of Man City all over again.
And then I tried to slip it in later on, like I knew it the whole time. I went, oh, it's just a present. I went, what a present for your birthday, United side Sabitzer. Oh, brilliant! Like I knew, I didn't know it was his birthday.
He supports United.
But then I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure either because I thought not a lot of people are talking about his birthday. So I was even hesitant to put it in to say it to him because I thought, well, what if it's not? That's even weirder.
Oh, man.
Imagine me going to someone, Marcel Sabitzer loan deal for your birthday. How great. It's not even my birthday. And I don't support United. Like, what's wrong with you, Owen?
Oh, you're making me cry. You are hilarious.
Happy birthday to Josh.
Happy birthday, Josh. Yes. Ash with the super chat says, I'm telling you, the Chelsea owner must play FIFA, opening packs, and quick selling in real life. Yeah, Todd's doing that. It's real. It's real. But yes, people are saying happy birthday to Josh. Right. Anyway, guys, look, we're out of here. I know again, as soon as I'm gonna do one quick refresh because knowing my luck, I'll end it and it'll be gone. But it would appear that we're not getting any announcements until probably just before midnight, I would think by that. And if that is the case, we'll be back tomorrow live, 9 a.m. We'll break down the statement. I mean, this might come back and bite me. I can change it to that. I can.
Is that I can looking for approval, like agreement?
No. I think it's going to happen, isn't it? It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Totally fine. Anyway, guys, look, we're out of here. Match day tomorrow. Plenty of content on the horizon, and we'll speak to you again very soon. Peace.